Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the massive shift that's happening with Google Search, especially for those of you in the UAE. We're going to break down how to optimize for this brand new world of AI-generated answers. And to do that, we're relying on the fantastic insights of our source for this explainer, Morteza Azimi. He's a senior SEO and content strategist who is based right there in Dubai, specializing in the UAE and Middle East markets.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what this new reality of search actually is. Then we'll dig into the single biggest challenge it creates. And finally, we'll walk through a complete framework for how you can adapt and actually win.
All right, first up, let's get to the heart of this. What's fundamentally changing about the Google that you and I use every single day?
You know, it really all boils down to this one simple but powerful question. This is the idea that's driving the biggest change to search technology in more than a decade. We're moving away from just a list of suggestions to a direct, complete answer.
And this whole new world has a name, the Generative Search Experience, or SGE for short. So what does that mean? Well, it means that for a lot of your questions, Google isn't just a directory anymore. It's trying to be the answer engine itself, giving you what it calls an AI overview right at the top.
Here's a fantastic way to think about it. You know, traditional search was kind of like a card catalog in a library. It gave you a list of books, but you had to go find the answers yourself. Generative search? That's more like having an expert librarian who reads all those books for you, synthesizes the information, and then gives you a custom-researched answer right on the spot.
Okay, so now that we know what's happening, we've got to talk about the big challenge this creates. Because it's a fundamental one for pretty much any business or publisher with a website.
And here's the crux of the problem. If the AI gives a user the perfect answer right there in the search results, why would they ever need to click on your website? This is ushering in the age of zero-click searches, and it's a direct threat to the website traffic we've all come to rely on.
And this right here, this quote says it all. Our entire strategy has to pivot. The goal isn't just to be #1 in the rankings anymore. Nope. The new game is to have your content be so good, so authoritative, that Google's own AI chooses to cite you as the source in its answer.
Right. So the million-dollar question is, how do you actually become that citable source? How do you win the AI's trust? Well, it all comes down to a framework that Google itself uses to figure out who's credible and who isn't.
This framework, this is the new currency in the world of AI search. It's called EEAT, which stands for Experience, Expertise, Authoritativeness, and Trustworthiness. It's not just about keywords anymore, folks. The AI is now actively playing detective, evaluating your credibility across these 4 pillars before it'll even think about citing you.
Let me give you a really concrete example. Think of the AI like the world's toughest fact checker. It's not going to just pull from some anonymous article about a complex topic like Dubai's corporate tax. No way. It's going to actively hunt for signals that the author is a real expert. Things like a detailed professional bio, their credentials, and a history of writing about finance.
Okay, that's the theory. Let's get practical. How does this all translate into a real action plan for a business operating in Dubai or the wider UAE?
The whole strategy for getting cited by the AI really breaks down into 3 core pillars. First, you've got to prove your local authority with super specific content. Second, you have to learn to speak the AI's language. And third, you have to make sure your entire website is a technically flawless and trustworthy platform. First up, and this is huge, you've got to prove you're a true local authority. Generic, international content is dead in the water here. The AI is looking for that real-world experience. A guide on cleaning a JBR apartment after a sandstorm, that's something a generic website from halfway across the world could never write authentically. And that's exactly what the AI wants to see.
Second, you need to get familiar with something called structured data, or schema. Now, this can sound technical, but think of it like this. You're basically speaking the AI's native language. You're putting little labels on your content that say, hey, this is a local business at this address, or this part of the page answers these specific questions. It removes all the guesswork for the AI.
And number 3, and you absolutely cannot skip this, is your technical foundation. A slow, buggy website, especially on mobile, is a massive red flag. Just imagine your site crashing during a Dubai Shopping Festival flash sale. That doesn't just frustrate your users, it screams to the AI that you are an unreliable source. All right, so if the strategy is changing, then guess what? The way we measure success has to change too. The old metrics just don't paint the full picture anymore.
We are literally throwing out the old scorecard and picking up a new one. So instead of being obsessed with just keyword rankings and clicks, we're now looking at our visibility inside those AI overviews. We're tracking brand mentions and citations, and we're paying close attention to overall impression growth.
Now, this point is so important because it flips a classic SEO metric on its head. In the past, high impressions with low clicks might have looked like a failure, but today, it can actually be a huge win. It's a signal that the AI is seeing and considering your content as an authoritative source, which is the critical first step to earning that valuable citation.
So to bring it all together, here is a fantastic practical checklist from our source, Morteza Azimi, that you can literally use to audit your own Dubai-based website for this new generative era. It covers everything from auditing your author bios all the way to tracking these new, crucial metrics.
And that quote really gets to the heart of it all. Search is no longer just a list of links. It's becoming a real dialogue between a user and an AI. And the question for every single brand is, are you going to be a trusted voice in that conversation?
Which leaves you with one final, and I think really important question to ask yourself as you think about your own strategy. When that AI looks for an expert voice in your industry, is it going to be you? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.